mock draft. What you did this on your birthday weekend, which I'm a little bit disappointed about, but it is jam-packed, full of great information, including a couple trades. How'd you put this thing together?
Okay, so that's a good question because I think people look at mock drafts and they're all over the internet, and that's good. They're fun. They're great. So here's the difference between each of them. Some of them are guys who say, I watched the tape, here's what I would do. Or if I was the GM, here's the pick I would make. I'm looking at you guys at home now. I have never watched one piece of tape. I don't know anything about hip swivel. I have no film work.
Peter, what about pad level? Tell us
I have nothing on pad.
Don't say never. Like you watch tape, you just don't watch as extensive as the
You watch the games? Sure. I watch the games as a fan on Saturdays. But what I have is this. And I've been texting and calling and trying to get as much information that I can from teams. So if you want to look at my mock draft,
and you have an eye for football. Like, don't sell yourself short. I get what you're saying, but
I know team needs and stuff, but I wouldn't. Yeah. Mike Mayock is a brilliant. He goes to every pro day. Is brilliant.
He's the Russell Crowe of that.
Daniel Jeremiah goes and he scouts these guys for a living, and they come in. I wouldn't be able to pose myself as that. But what I do have is this, which is context, and I got to trust my information.
It's great. Yeah,
that's what I hope. Now,
it's great.
That said,
it's less about needs and it's more about inside info, which is what that cell phone's all about.
Kay, and this is my big parachute on this one. Last year at this time, besides Joey Bosa going to the Chargers, I pretty much had the top 10 and knew what each team.
Did you?
This year, it is wide open still.
Okay.
I can't with confidence say any of my top 10 is a sure thing, including the #1 overall pick, which makes this year's draft all the more exciting. And I'm not alone. You talk to Peter King, Adam Schefter. This is one of those wide open drafts where anything can happen, which makes it so much more exciting.
So you worked really hard on this, and yet Friday morning it could be all wrong.
It's the best part. I'm like a meteorologist. No one's worried about it next day. Let's just move on.
Peter, I want to see your top 10, can't we?
Let's do it. Let's go to the top 10 here. This is how I see it. Miles Garrett goes 1.
Nice.
Safe pick, Solomon Thomas 2. Jonathan Allen's got some shoulder stuff I found out last night that might keep him from being top 10. We'll get into that in a little bit, but I've got him going 3. Fournette to the Jaguars. And number 5's key. I've got a trade.
Okay.
The cop-out on a mock draft.
Get through the chalk. Yes.
Browns trade their 12 and their 33. If you go by the old Jimmy Johnson value chart, it equals the 5 pick. They move up before the Jets. The Browns get both Myles Garrett and Mitchell Trubisky. Okay. They get their star defensive player and they get their quarterback of the future who grew up 15 miles away from Cleveland, Ohio. That's the top 5. Let's look at 6 through 10 because it gets even more interesting. I've got Deshaun Watson.
Okay, now we got something.
All right.
All right.
I've got Watson going to the Jets. 7, Jamal Adams. You might see him 3 to Chicago. You might see him 2 to San Francisco. That might be a wild card there. McCaffrey, you've heard it all along. 8 to Carolina. It almost makes too much sense if Fournette's off the board. And how about that wild card, Kay? Your draft story, Hassan Reddick. Going in the top 10.
I haven't seen him in the top 10 in any mock draft.
Number 9 to Cincinnati. I'm hearing they like him. They like Reuben Foster. They like Tack McKinley. I think Hassan Reddick might go as high as 9. And then number 10.
What a story. He's from Camden.
That's awesome.
He's right.
Stuff's going out with Reuben Foster. Who is the benefactor but Hassan Reddick?
And then O.J. Howard 10. Now, here's an interesting text. I put this out. A lot of people have O.J. Howard 5 to the Titans. There's a lot of stuff to that, right? I put him 10. I got a text from a current NFL quarterback who texted me and said, a tight end in the top 10? Are you trying to get a coach fired? Basically saying, look at the track record of that. It's not a long record of it. And O.J. Howard's being discussed as the best option as any receiving target. So he's being viewed before Mike Williams, before Corey Davis, before the speedster John Ross. And for that, I have him as the number 10 pick going to Buffalo. Let's have that.
All right. Well, we ran into a fan ourselves, me and Peter, the other day. We were going to our weekly spinning class. It was a whole different show. We ran into this Raiders fan who goes, I love the show. I love the show. And he looks and he goes, Trubisky. He points at Peter. You are Mr. Trubisky. You're all about Trubisky. He was all over you as being the Trubisky guy. So we have the trade here. Why the Titans? Why not the Chargers? Why not the Panthers? Why is it
My fan encounters are very different than yours.
I know, right? I bet they are. Okay, that's true. You're Mr. Trubisky, according to this dude. Why do you think it would be the Titans to do it?
All right. The Jets are sitting at 6. I think there's a really good shot that the Jets say, you know what, let's just get the quarterback. And whether it be Trubisky or Watson, that's whatever on their board. If I'm the Browns, and I think Trubisky's my guy, and I think Trubisky could even be taken 1st overall.
Get ahead of it.
If Watson and Trubisky are both on the board, I am getting my guy. And I am trading up. I accumulated all these picks for what? I traded out of the number 2 pick last year where it became Carson Wentz.
Right.
Are we going to go into the season with Cody Kessler as our quarterback? Are we going to pretty much take a mulligan on the quarterback class for 2 different years and say Myles Garrett and, okay, let me get Reuben Foster, and we're going to just have a great defense. We might.
So why not go up to number 2? Why not San Francisco? I mean,
I don't think the Bears are going quarterback, and I don't think the Jaguars are going to go quarterback, although I hear Deshaun Watson rumors in Jacksonville. We'll move that on, whatever. But I think when it all is said and done, I think these are the quarterback fits. And I don't have Kaiser in my first round. He might go late first. But I've got Mahomes. I really do think that makes sense.
That's where I have him.
Going to the Houston Texans. Kay Adams with her mock draft. Honestly, you've been saying Mahomes to the Texans for weeks. Give you credit on that one. But I think 5, 6, and 25, those are your 3 quarterbacks that go in the first round.
Okay. The one that's interesting to me is O.J. Howard at 10, because there's a train of thought that would say you don't select tight end top 10 because in recent years, those guys don't develop for a couple years. Even if you look at some of our legends in the game at the tight end position, most recently Tony Gonzalez, even Antonio Gates, who's still playing, Gronk, Jason Witten, all these guys slowly developed into the monsters they are. I mean, Hall of Fame caliber tight ends. But then again, when you have a guy like this with his stature, his speed, his strength, his ability, not only to catch the ball, run routes, but to stay in and block.
Likes blocking.
Now, the question is, if you're going to go that high and pick a guy at 10, how fast are you going to implement him into the playbook? Because if you don't, then it seems like a waste. I don't care how good of a blocker you are. You can get a great blocking tight end in a 3rd, 4th, 5th, 6th, even in a free agent. But having him top 10, you're going to have to put him in that offense and say, hey, we're going to pass you the ball. We need you to catch 50, 60 rocks.
He might go as high as 5 to the Titans. We might be there.
Have Delaney Walker. I know they might want to put in a 2 tight end set, but they already, I mean, they have a great tight end. I feel like they have so many other needs to address. They do need a weapon, though.
They do. And
he's the best receiving weapon.
This guy is the #1 receiver.
And how many teams wish they had taken Rob Gronkowski in the top 10 or Tony Gonzalez? And when Tony Gonzalez was drafted, the game's changed a lot. He was putting a hand down next to the tackle every single play. The game's changed a lot. O.J. Howard is the wave of the future. He's the McCaffrey of tight ends.
I want to look at your running backs, Peter, because there's been a lot of talk, some cute talk about McCaffrey going above Fournette. That's not the way that you have it in your 7-rounder, right? You have Fournette going ahead of McCaffrey, followed by Cook.
Yeah, and this one is okay, the Jacksonville thing's interesting because the offensive line's not great. So are you putting Fournette out there to dry, almost like Todd Gurley this year with the Rams offensive line? Everyone is saying Fournette to the Jaguars as if it's like chalk. Then I get a call 2 nights ago telling me, I heard they had Deshaun Watson in, and it went really well, and there might be a discussion there. So when you see someone being pegged to a team since weeks ago, like we're seeing Fournette to the Jaguars, you think that's a given? Like, okay, well, at least we know that one.
It's not.
That's a red flag. That means that everyone's being told the same thing, and then you do the loop-de-loop, and suddenly you've got Cam Robinson or Garrett Bowles going 4th overall, and you're like, whoa, what? That's what the Chargers did last year. You know, they could say, well, we didn't talk to anybody. But everyone said it was Tunsil or Stanley. Tunsil or Stanley. Oh, wait, Jalen Ramsey might go 3rd overall.
Smoke bomb.
And Joey Bosa goes 3rd overall, and no one had it. So Fournette I've got McCaffrey 8 to the Panthers because Fournette's off the board. I do think the Panthers would take Fournette over McCaffrey. And then Dalvin Cook is this amazing wild card because he might be the best of all. And I have him staying in Florida, going with Jameis, up there in the Florida State thing, going to Tampa, which would be lightning.
Schrags, you went 7 rounds deep. Let's do Schrager a favor. Let's talk about a deep guy, because I know you're sitting on the couch for hours working on all 7 rounds. A guy we've talked about on this show, Tariq Cohen. All right, the Saints just took Adrian Peterson. That's happening. You have him in the 6th round. Tariq Cohen, 5'6", I believe. Tell us about this. Give us one late round guy.
North Carolina A&T, my favorite player in the draft. Watch his highlights.
Yes!
He's 5'6" from a school that doesn't naturally go on ESPN every weekend.
North Carolina A&T.
I've got him in the 6th round. I saw him at the NFLPA Bowl. He was at the Senior Bowl. He is Darren Sproles Jr. Tariq Cohen. You're my 6th round gem. Look at his footage.
I think your
on a soccer field.
6th round gem is Jake Elliott, my kicker of draft
Oh, yeah!
going to
That's
the Cardinals.
good too.
I like that. Ben Bulwer, friend of the show, who'll be joining us tomorrow live, I believe, in Philly, gets taken in the 5th round by the Ravens. I like him in Suggs. I like what that would be like.
Me too. They've always had good luck with Bulwer. So the Ravens, I went with Ben Bulwer to the Ravens. But 7 rounds, go on my Twitter feed.